All right, let's talk about an absolute legend in the investing world, Peter Lynch. This isn't just a story about someone who beat the market, it's about how he flipped the whole game on its head, using a playbook that is, believe it or not, incredibly straightforward and powerful. Let's dig in.
Okay, first things first, you just have to look at the numbers, because they're pretty insane. For 13 straight years, while running the Fidelity Magellan Fund, Peter Lynch averaged a compounded annual return of 29.2%. I mean, in the investing world, a number like that, it's practically a myth.
So what does a number like that even mean in real money? Well, it means if you had trusted him with just $1,000 back in 1977, by the time he retired 13 years later, that grand would have ballooned into $28,000. Just wow. That's the kind of power we're talking about here.
And that performance, it created what you could call the $14 billion anomaly. He took this tiny, almost irrelevant $18 million fund and turned it into an absolute Wall Street giant. So the big question for us is, how? How on earth did one guy pull that off?
Well, here's the kicker. The secret wasn't some crazy complex algorithm or some hidden Wall Street formula. Nope, it was a really radical idea, something almost nobody believed, that regular people, amateur investors, actually have a secret weapon, a built-in advantage over the professionals.
And he gave it a name, the amateur advantage. The whole idea is that what you already know from your everyday life, your job, the stuff you buy, the trends you see with your own two eyes, is actually a gold mine for finding amazing investment opportunities way before Wall Street ever catches on.
And this is where that advantage really shines. Look, as a regular person, you're nimble. You can spot a cool new product or a small growing company and invest in it instantly. Big institutions, they can't do that. They're like these giant, slow-moving ships. They're stuck in a herd mentality, obsessed with quarterly reports, and frankly, they're just too big to buy into the small, scrappy companies where the real explosive growth is.
The perfect example of this in action? The legendary Legs pantyhose story. This wasn't some brilliant idea born on a trading floor. It literally started when Lynch's wife, Carolyn, was at the grocery store and saw Legs being sold there, and the light bulb went off. The genius wasn't just the product, it was the distribution. Selling pantyhose in supermarkets was a total game changer, and that one simple, real-world observation, it led to a 30-bagger. The stock went up 30 times over.
Okay, so spotting a great idea is step one, but that's just the beginning, right? You can't just throw money at every cool thing you see. Lynch knew he needed a system, a way to organize his thoughts and make sense of the entire market. And what he came up with was simple, but absolutely brilliant.
I mean, think about it. There are thousands and thousands of companies out there. How in the world do you start to sort through all that noise? How do you tell the difference between a solid bet and a risky gamble?
Well, this was Lynch's answer, this super elegant system of 6 stock categories. His big idea was that you can't judge a boring utility company with the same ruler you use for a high-flying tech startup. It just doesn't work. So he broke them down. You've got your slow growers, the big, steady companies that pay dividends. You've got your stalwarts, the reliable giants you can count on for consistent gains. And then, his favorite, the fast growers. This is where you hunt for the home runs, the legendary 10-baggers that can change your life. And finally, you have the special cases, the cyclicals that ride the waves of the economy, the risky but potentially rewarding turnarounds, and the asset plays that have hidden value just waiting to be unlocked.
So, let's say you've found a cool company and you've figured out which of those 6 boxes it fits in. What's next? This is where the real work begins. It's time to move from that initial aha moment to some actual research. You got to find the story behind the stock. And then, and this is key, you have to check the numbers.
Lynch had this great little exercise he called the 2-minute drill. The rule was simple. Before you buy a single share, you have to be able to explain in 2 minutes why you're buying it. What's the story? Why is this company going to win? What's going to make its earnings grow? Are the people running the company buying their own stock? And a big one, is it still a bit of a secret? Is it unloved by Wall Street? Because if the big money hasn't piled in yet, that's where you find the best deals.
And when it came to checking those numbers, especially for the fast growers, Lynch gave the world an incredible gift. It's called the PEG ratio. It's a ridiculously simple tool he designed to answer one single, all-important question. Is the price I'm paying for this stock actually justified by its growth?
And don't worry, you don't need a math degree for this. The formula is as simple as it gets. You just take the company's PE ratio, which you can find anywhere, and divide it by its earnings growth rate. That's it. Seriously. And what you do with that number is even easier.
If the PEG ratio is around 1, you're probably paying a fair price. But if you find a great company and its PEG is down around 0.5, ding ding ding, you've likely found a real bargain. On the flip side, if that number is getting close to 2, it's a warning sign. The stock is probably getting way too expensive.
Okay, I know what you're thinking. That's great for the 80s with pantyhose and shopping malls, but what about today? What about 2025 with AI and everything else? Well, the amazing thing is, the playbook works just as well today, maybe even better.
See, the principle, the core idea of the amateur advantage, it's timeless. The front lines where you make your observations have just changed. Instead of walking through a mall, maybe you're noticing that every single business you know is switching to a certain software, or maybe you see that one digital payment app is suddenly everywhere. The opportunities are still right there in front of you.
And just to prove it, you can run a stock screener today using Lynch's rules and still find interesting companies. Here are just a few examples that popped up recently, all with that classic Lynchian signature of low PE ratios and a PEG ratio under 1. This is that growth at a reasonable price he was always talking about.
But look, buying is only half the battle, maybe even less than half. Peter Lynch was absolutely relentless on this point. Managing your portfolio, and more importantly, knowing when to sell, is just as crucial as knowing when to buy. And his most famous quote says it all: "Don't water the weeds and pull the flowers." It sounds simple, but it goes against every human instinct. Our gut tells us to cash in on our winners and hold on to our losers, praying they'll come back. Lynch says do the exact opposite. Let your winning flowers keep growing and have the guts to cut your losing weeds.
And this wasn't just some feel-good saying. He had hard and fast rules for selling, all tied back to those 6 stock categories. For a fast grower, you sell when its supercharged growth starts to slow down. For a cyclical, you sell when the economy looks like it's peaking and inventories are piling up. The decision to sell is never emotional. It's always about whether the original story you bought into has fundamentally changed.
So when you zoom out and look at the whole picture, what's Peter Lynch's real legacy? It's empowerment. It's this radical idea that the stock market isn't some secret game only for the Wall Street elite. It's a place where anyone, literally anyone, who's willing to pay attention, do a little homework, and be patient can actually win. And that brings us to the most important takeaway of all. The very best investment ideas, the ones that can really change your financial future, they're probably not hidden in some 50-page analyst report. They're hiding in plain sight. They're all around you every single day.
So I'll leave you with this question to chew on. Now that you know how to look at the world through Peter Lynch's eyes, what future 10 dagger is hiding in your daily life just waiting for you to spot it?